Are we on the brink of a seismic shift in the San Francisco 49ers roster? With whispers swirling about potential salary cap casualties, fans are left to wonder if some of our beloved players could be packing their bags. What does this mean for the team's future as they navigate the financial landscape? Stick around as we dive into who might be on the chopping block and how it could reshape our squad for the upcoming season. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button to keep up with all things 49ers. Over the Cap recently dropped a bombshell on us, naming 6 potential salary cap casualties for our beloved San Francisco 49ers. Now let's dive into this list and what it could mean for the team moving forward. Starting off with a bit of a surprise, Jauan Jennings. This guy has been a fan favorite, and rightly so. He stepped up big time in 2024, especially after Brandon Ayuk went down with an injury. If he hadn't had that early exit in Week 18, there's a solid chance he would have hit 1,000 receiving yards for the season. That's a major milestone for any wide receiver, let alone for someone who's had to fight for his spot on the roster. The Pro Football Focus even named him the most improved player for the 49ers, describing him as a secret star. He signed an extension back in May of 2024, keeping him around until 2025 with $1.17 million guaranteed. You have to wonder, how do the 49ers justify moving on from a player who's shown such promise? Now, let's talk about Deebo Samuel. He's also on this list, but the vibes around him are different. General Manager John Lynch has made it clear that Samuel is a key part of the team, and they intend to keep him for the 2025 season. With nearly $16 million counting against the cap, it could be a tough pill to swallow, but Lynch recognizes his value. As he said, "We're not in the business of letting good players go. In a league where you need playmakers, Samuel is indispensable." Still, with the financial implications looming, do you think the 49ers will be able to keep him long-term? Honestly, I'm torn. Then there's Kyle Juszczyk. He's the highest-paid fullback in the league, and his name has been thrown around in salary cap discussions for a while now. His role is crucial but could be seen as a luxury, especially with a quarterback extension for Brock Purdy on the horizon. Juszczyk himself acknowledged the uncertainty surrounding his future, saying, "There's a lot in the air. It's a tough situation for him and the organization. Do they hang on to a player who brings so much to the locker room and the field? Or do they cut ties to save money?" It's a decision that could weigh heavily on their cap space and the team's overall strategy. Next, we have Leonard Floyd and Yetur Gross-Matos. Both were signed to bolster the pass rush opposite Nick Bosa, but let's be honest, their impact has been underwhelming. The defense received a pass rush grade of just 68.1 from Pro Football Focus, ranking 18th in the NFL. Gross-Matos even missed time due to injury. If the 49ers are looking to tighten their budget, keeping underperforming players isn't going to cut it. This could be a pivotal moment for the defensive line if they decide to make changes. And we can't forget about Maliek Collins. Acquired through a trade last March, he's set to count $4.76 million against the cap in 2025. But after a disappointing season, where he finished with the lowest grade from PFF among defensive tackles, one has to question whether he's worth the investment. The 49ers are in a position where every dollar counts, especially with the looming decisions around other contracts. 2024 was a tough year for us, San Francisco 49ers fans. It felt like we were riding a roller coaster of highs and lows, and unfortunately, we ended up on the wrong side more often than not. Let's dive into 4 players who stood out as major disappointments this season, starting with Deebo Samuel. Now, we all know the hype surrounding Deebo in training camp. He looked great, and everyone was buzzing about how he was going to dominate this season. But man, did that hype fizzle out? Quickly, he averaged just 3.1 yards of separation on targets, which is the lowest of his career. Deebo simply wasn't a factor as a wide receiver this year, and his time as a running back didn't offer much solace either. With only 2 runs surpassing 10 yards, it was clear that he was not the dynamic playmaker we've come to love since he burst onto the scene in 2020. It's tough to watch a player with so much potential struggle like this, but history tells us he often rebounds from down years. So, here's hoping 2025 is the year he comes back strong. Next up, we need to talk about Jair Brown. Coming into this season, there were high expectations for him, especially after showing some flashes in his rookie year. But what a letdown it was. The biggest issue? His tackling was a disaster. The angles he took to stop plays were painful to watch, And while he had one standout game against the Dallas Cowboys where he snagged an interception, that just wasn't enough to erase the memories of the other games. It's hard to see how he fits into our plans moving forward, and as fans, we can only hope he can turn things around before next season. Then there's Brock Purdy. After an impressive 2023, where he was a finalist for MVP and led us to the Super Bowl, 2024 was supposed to be his breakout year. Instead, it felt like he took a step back. Sure, injuries played a part by limiting his top receiving targets, but that doesn't excuse some of the poor decision-making we witnessed. He held onto the ball too long too often, and his passes were alarmingly inaccurate this season. We know he's got talent, but it really hurts to see someone who had so much promise falter like this. Purdy has a lot to prove in 2025, and as fans, we need him to step up and reclaim that form. And finally, we can't forget about Kyle Shanahan. As the head coach, he carries a lot of weight when the team underperforms. This year, it felt like he lost his grip on the game plan. The offense lacked identity, the team was undisciplined, and the missed opportunities were just heartbreaking. It's frustrating to think about how many chances slipped away because of poor coaching decisions. Shanahan has a lot of work to do this offseason to correct the mistakes that bogged down this season. So what does this mean for our beloved 49ers? We have a lot of questions that need answers. Can Deebo bounce back? Will Brown find his footing? Can Purdy regain his form? And, most importantly, can Shanahan get this team back on track? As passionate fans, we deserve to see our team succeed, and it's tough to watch our dreams unravel like this. I want to hear from you. What do you think about these developments? Are you optimistic about the future, or are you feeling the weight of disappointment? And you, what do you think? I want to hear your opinions down below. Before you go, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with all the latest 49ers news. And make sure to activate the notification bell to get all the latest updates. We're in this together, 49ers faithful. Let's hope for a brighter 2025.